Hello, once again. We are going to read chapter 4 of The Black Pearl. It's a little bit shorter chapter this time. One reminder, when you're watching this, down at the corner over here, there's a little box, okay? And it should be down over here. Yeah, like that. If you click that, it'll make it big on your screen. That way you can read the words easier, because part of my expectation is that you're listening and you're following along with the words while we read. If we were in class, you would all have a copy of the book and you'd be sitting here and you'd be reading with me. Okay? So, make the words nice and big, fill up the whole screen so you can read easier. All right. Let's go ahead and dive in here to chapter 4. 4 days passed, and I was standing at the desk with a pen over my ear and a leather-bound ledger open in front of me. I was watching a canoe that moved forward around the tip of the lizard tongue. It was a red canoe and came swiftly, so I knew it belonged to the Indian Soto Luzon. I was glad to see old Luzon. He had sold pearls to my father for many years. He came about every 3 months and never brought more than one, but it always was a pearl of good quality. Soon after I began to work with my father, he had brought in a beautiful pearl of more than 2 carats. As I watched Luzon beach the canoe and come up the path, I hoped he was bringing another like it, for the yield from our last trip had been poor. 5 boatloads of shells had yielded no round or pearl-shaped pearls, and only a handful of buttons and baroques, all of them dull. I opened the door at his timid knock and invited him to come in and sit down. "I have traveled all night," Luzon said. "If it pleases you, I would like to stand." Luzon never sat. He had an Indian's thin legs, but a powerful chest, and thick arms that could wield a paddle for hours and not grow tired. "I passed your boats this morning," he said. "They were near Maldonado." "They were going to Isla Saralvo." The old man gave me a shrewd look. "The fishing is not good around here?" "Good," I said. It was not wise to say that it was poor, when he had come to sell a pearl. "Very good." "Then why, Signor, do the boats go to Saralvo?" "Because my father wants to search there for the black ones." The old man fumbled in his shirt and pulled out a knotted rag and untied it. "Here is a black one," he said. I could see at a glance that it was round and of good quality, like the pearl I had bought from him 3 months before. I placed it on the scales and balanced it against the small copper weights. 2.5 carats, I said. My father never haggled with Luzon, and always gave him a fair price, and had told me to do the same. For that reason, old Luzon always brought his pearls to Salazar and Son, although there were 4 other dealers in our town. 200 pesos, I said. The sum was about 50 pesos more than my father would have offered, but a plan was taking shape in my mind, and I needed the old man's help. I counted out the money, and he put it in his shirt, probably thinking to himself that I was not so smart as my father. "You always bring in good pearls, black ones," I said. "There must be many in your lagoon. If you permit me, I will come and dive there. All the pearls I find I will pay you for." The old man looked puzzled. "But you are not a diver," he said. "You can teach me, senor." "I have heard your father say many times since—" Here's a picture of old Luzon. "Since the time you were a child, that he did not raise you to drown in the sea, or to give an arm or a leg to a burrow shell." "My father," I said, "has gone to Saralvo, and he will not return for a week or more." "And your mother and your sisters, what will they say?" "They will say nothing, because today they go to Loreto." I paused. "You will teach me to dive, and I will look for the big one, and when I find it I will pay you what it is worth." "The big one I have searched for many years. Luzon said. How is it found in a week? You can find the big one in a single dive. The old man pulled at his stubbly chin. He was thinking, I knew, about his wife and his two unmarried daughters and his three young sons and all these mouths he had to feed every day. When do you wish to go? He said. I wish to go now. Luzon hitched up his frayed trousers. After I buy a sack of frijoles and a sack of flour, then we go. The old man left, and I put the pearls away and locked the safe. I took the bundle from under the desk, my pants, a shirt, and a knife. I closed the door and locked it. As I walked down to the beach, I thought about the great pearl I had dreamed of while the Sevillano was bragging. I thought of how surprised he would be when he came back from Saralvo and found the whole town of La Paz talking about the monster pearl Ramon Salazar had found. It was a dream so wild that only a very young man and a stupid one can dream it. And yet, as happens sometimes, the dream came true. All right, so let's talk first about some of the words that are used here. It says, as I watched Luzon beach the canoe. Now, here is a word that you probably know, beach, right? Here's a picture of the beach, a beach. I went on vacation to the beach. That makes it a noun. But as I watched Luzon beach the canoe, it doesn't have a beach or the beach here. This is when we use the same word, but in a different way. And so beach becomes a verb. And you can see here in this picture, to beach is to drive a boat up onto the sand. Now, in this example, I'm guessing that was a mistake, but that's an example of beaching a boat, driving the boat up onto the sand and the land. All right. So sometimes words can be used in different ways. To haggle. To haggle is when you debate over things. 100, 300, 100, 300, 100, 300, haggling. Okay? In this particular case, in this story, Ramon says he is not going to haggle. I'll give you a good price. We're not going to debate about it. I'll be honest. I'll be good to you. Treat you right. So, no haggling, just giving the right price. Now, Luzon is concerned, and Luzon says to Ramon, isn't your father afraid you might drown? Drowning, my personal fear. That freaks me out. Now, I'm a really good swimmer. At least I used to be a pretty good swimmer. But still, drowning, it just terrifies me. That's when you go underwater, you can't breathe, and you die. So, Luzon says to Ramon, doesn't your father not want you to be a diver because he's afraid you might drown? So Ramon is trying to find a teacher, okay, and that is in Luzon. Luzon's going to be his teacher, and Luzon has the stubbly chin. So here's a man with stubble that's tiny little whiskers, just maybe 2 or 3 days since he's last shaved. All right, so I'm going to cover these words up here for just a second. All right. So, Ramon wants to be a diver, a pearl diver, and his father so far hasn't let him. So, Ramon asks Luzon, can I come to your beach and will you teach me how to dive? Ramon's clever. So, Ramon gives him a good fair price for the pearl. Tries see how generous I am with you? Why don't you help me out, huh? I help you out, you help me out. Yeah. So, what do you think will happen to Ramon? Okay, do you think he will learn to dive? Do you think he will find the pearl? Because he talks about this dream of finding this great big pearl. Do you think that he might drown? That's one of the fears, that he might drown. Or that he might lose his arm to a burrow clam. Remember, Sevillano said he put his hand in the burrow clam and clamped down on him, and that's how he had the scar. So, what do you think will happen to Ramon? Okay, so you've got a couple of options here. You could say something like, yes, he will learn to dive, or no, he won't learn to dive. Will he find the Great Pearl? Yes, he will find the Great Pearl, or no, he won't find the Great Pearl. Will he drown? Yes, he will drown and die, or no, he won't drown and die, he will live. And lastly, will he lose his arm to a burrow clam? Yes, he will get hurt, or no, he won't get hurt. So these are possible things that might happen, and we don't know yet. I don't know what's going to happen. We got to keep reading to find out. But we can make these guesses because we're always thinking. We're reading and we're thinking, is Ramon going to do this? His dad says no, but his dad's gone. His mom is gone. If Luzon will teach him, maybe it'll work out good. Maybe it will work out pretty bad. We just don't know yet. All right, we're going to have to continue reading later on and find out. All right, that's all for now. Take care, everybody.